Alright, we're back. Give everyone a second to join on, so. Alright. Well, can you guys hear me alright? You getting audio? You good? What's up, Jody? What's up, James? What's up, CJ? Sick. How's it going, Sean? Sweet. Perfect. Gonna give it another 30 seconds or so, let people hop on, so. Yeah, today we're just gonna be tying some streamers, some neat, specifically some drunken disorderlies. So, you know, it's a pattern that I didn't mess around with too much until this year, and we absolutely crushed it. Like, this fly just freaking moves. So I've been tying a lot of them. They can be a little difficult to tie. You know, with that deer hair head, it can be a pain. And there's a good chance that I'll screw it up, but, you know, I'll give it a shot. So, what's up, Brian? How's it going, Chris? But, yeah, let's jump right in. So, starting out with an Arex, I believe it's like I always forget the name of it, TP610 Trout Predator, size 1. That in Norvise. But, so the specific color that we're going to be tying it, I call it the Psycho Whitey. It's a color I use, you know, mainly for bull trout. Like, there's just something about white and a little bit of pink and purple and, you know, flashy gold, all that stuff that really just, those bull trout cannot resist it. They really, really like it. So, yep, just using some Semperfli Nano Silk in 6/0. So, get that started, take it to the back. And then, for our body, what we're going to be using is some hairline dubbing, black barred Groovy Bunny rabbit strips. And so they have that purple and that pink color, along with the white and black bars. So they're pretty intense, but the fish love it. It's a sweet color. I dig it a lot. So, and with these rabbit strips, what I always like to do is, instead of having that flat cut, I just taper it to, you know, just a small point. And does it make a huge difference? No, not really. It's just something I like to do. Spiff it up a little bit. Gives it a slightly more natural taper in the back. But, yeah, so we're going to then, and I tie these flies big, especially when you are doing the bull trout. You know, the 1 is really the smallest in that size 1. That's the smallest I'll go. But that tail, you know, make it just a bit longer than the shank. As well, to pull that back, and then just do one wrap and kind of cinch it down on there, and then do another one. And we're going to give her one last one. That's good. Pull that back, get our thread moved up. That's locked in there nice and good. Now, I have some Polar Chenille, and I believe this is a UV gold color. I can't remember. I usually take them out of the packaging. So, we're just going to tie that right in front of that rabbit strip. Sweet. All those fibers pushed back. And then with this puller chenille, when you wrap it forward, try to get those wraps as, you know, thick and dense as possible, because that's just going to build body. It's going to build water push, you know. Just really, really pack them on there. That's like the one downside about this puller chenille, is it's just super, super thin. So you really have to pack those wraps right on top of each other. But it's a really sweet fly. Like, first time I tied him, I was like, I mean, you know, it's kind of a pain in the butt to tie. It's a long tie. It takes a hot second. But went out and fished it the next day, and I was like, holy cow, this thing just freaking moves. I've been fishing it a lot since then, and it's produced a lot of good fish. You know, most of the time in my area, you know, we're fishing like the South Fork, the Snake River, and all that stuff, and we're usually fishing deep. You know, that's where the fish are, but decided to mess around a bit and fish a bit shallow, and it works. You know, throw this on a full sink line and just strip it in, and it likes to, you know, it moves. So, and with, you know, this fly, you don't have to really do a whole lot with it. Like, when you're actively stripping it in, that deer hair head, that wedge head, it does it for you. You know, it'll cut and curve and spin, does all sorts of funky stuff. But so now we have that wrapped up to the eye, and are you guys able to see that all right? Wish I had a better camera for you guys. But yeah. Anyway, so once you get that up to the eye, just tie it off. But since this one does have the deer hair head, you know, throw it on a full sink. I'm going to use a short leader. I'm using, you know, like a foot long section of 20-pound Maxima Chameleon, and then about another, you know, foot long section of the 12-pound. That just helps that fly turn over a bit better. But, you know, just keep that leader short, let that sinking line do the work for you. So, just going to pull that rabbit strip forward. And split it where it meets the eye. And tie that down. Try that again. There we go. One more wrap. Sweet. And just trim off that excess. It's pretty much your front half. Oh, almost forgot. Rubber legs. So these are the Snake River Fly laser legs. These things are the shiz. I am very confident in saying that these are the best rubber legs in the industry. You know, they just got a lot of rad colors, and they're pretty freaking durable. You know, I've had some issues with rubber legs breaking off. I haven't had that issue with these ones. So, and when you tie these in, you know, just go to about the back, just, you know, back end of the fly. And that seems to be about a pretty solid length for them. Yep, and just cut off those ends. There you go. And do a quick little whip finish. And you're pretty much done with that back half. Except one thing I do really like to do is you'll notice that when you pull that back, there's a lot of that puller chenille at the back, and it kind of creates an awkward shape. So what I like to do is just kind of pull all that puller chenille down. Try not to get a bunch of the rabbit fur, but as much of that puller chenille as you can. There we go. And then what I'll do, catch those rubber legs back, but I'll just like go through and trim it to a slight backwards taper. You know, because you want that mass up front. You want to build a really good taper on these streamers. And you want them to look big and bulky up front, thinner in the tail. So doing that just gives it a bit more of a natural taper instead of having all those long fibers coming out back to here. Like most of this, does it matter a whole bunch? No, I don't think it does. But it makes me happy, right? You know, I like it a bit more that way. So yeah, that's the whole back half. Pretty easy. And then we are going to use the Arex size 1 TP 610, I believe, with the 26-degree bend. I recently changed over to these Arex hook. I used to run a lot of Gamakatsus and I've used Kona hooks as well. Both of those hooks are really good. I like them both, but I really like the way these Arex are. They're sharp. They're really freaking sharp hooks. I haven't had any issue with any of them bending. Like I was out muskie fishing and got a hook put through my hand, one of the Arex hooks, and we tried pinching down that barb, and we could barely get it. I was like, holy cow, these are some tough freaking hooks. They're bulletproof. So, yeah, now, with almost all my streamers, I'm tying on the Arex hooks. I like them a lot. They make a really high quality hook. But let's get our thread started on that front hook. Wait. Alright, Jim, so I'm actually only using a 7-weight. I haven't had any issues. A 7-weight seems to be pretty darn suitable for this. So, now, just a piece of articulation wire. Some of you guys are going to cringe when I do this, but just use the back of your scissors, right at the back of them. Cut it. You're good. But it's just a piece of the, I believe this is the, size large, Senyo's intruder trailer hook wire. So, tie that on. Hold the tag end back over. Actually, I'm going to redo that. Tied it a bit too far forward. I'm going to want to leave some room for that deer hair head. There we go. Oh, that's better. And then when you do these articulation points, go a little bit down the bend of the hook. I'll show you why here in a second. And then for our articulation bead, it's going to be using a hairline dubbing 3D bead in the red color. Nice, I just picked up an 8-weight. Heck yes. Streamers are pretty fun to fish. They are a really good time. Once you catch one fish on a streamer, it's over. You're like, nah, I'm not gonna nymph anymore, not gonna fish dry flies, like streamers, that's it. So anyway, got that articulation wire through our 3D bead, and we're just going to go up through the eye of the hook of our back hook and back through our 3D bead. If I can get it. There we go. And so the reason I like to tie down the shank of the hook a bit, because if you don't, then this back hook is going to be higher than that front hook. I'm just going to try it. Is that audio still alright, or sound a little funky? Sorry about that. Anyway, so I like to tie my articulation wire a little bit down the bend. And I'm even going to do a little bit more so than what I was doing previously. There we go. Because you want the the hook, the shanks of the hook to line up with each other in a straight vertical line. That looks pretty good. So let's tie down that other piece. I always like to double over the articulation wire, just in case. The last thing you want is, losing that back hook on a snag or a fish. Just not fun. Yeah, it sucks. So then what we're going to do is pick up that rabbit strip again. And now on this one, I actually like to keep it flat. And I'm trying to build up as much bulk in that gap as I can. Try to make it a very, very seamless fly. So when I tie this in, I'm not going to go all the way down to where I tied off my articulation point, because then it would be pointing downwards off the bend of the hook. So I'm going to tie it on that flat surface to get it to about match up with the other one. With the rabbit strip on your back hook. Just remove more. There you go. Do one loose wrap. Tighten that up. And one more. We should be good. Sweet. Bring that thread forward. I'm going to do the same thing. Same portion here. This stuff rocks. Adds a lot of flash, adds some dimension. It is some really awesome stuff. There we go. Now where I ended that articulation wire, right about there, that's where I don't want, I don't want to be tying much after that. That's just going to get in the way of the deer hair. It's going to make a really big, bulky mess. So I like to leave a lot of room for that. I'm going to just start palmering this forward. And once again, keep it dense. Keep it really dense. There we go. Right. There we go. Sweet. Got that tied off. Cut that chenille. Make sure it's really nice and locked in. And then same thing. Pull that rabbit strip forward after splitting the forward chenille. Tie it down right there. Perfect. And then what I'll do is make sure this thread, just let it spin for a second. Try to get that thread nice and flat because we're going to throw a quick collar on it. Same rabbit fur off this rabbit strip, but I just like to get some of that fur down here on the bottom. Just creates a clean fly. And then with this Semperfli Nano Silk, you can actually split it with the hook point. Flatten that out a bit more. So we're going to actually split that thread in half. You can see that alright. Yeah, probably can't see it too well, but anyway, then we're just going to get some of that fur, preferably some of it with a lot of color on it, Like I said, there's just something about that color with these big bull trout that it just makes them mad. So we're going to trim that away from the hide. And we're going to put that through in between the two strands. And we're essentially creating a dubbing loop. Just spin that up. And there you go. That's all there is to it. And I'll wrap that around as a collar. That's a good cut, got some good color in there. Sweet. So, now we just have to do our front set of rubber legs and get going on the deer hair head. Once again, 2 more snake river fly laser legs. This one we're just going to split them even on both sides. So I just hook them on my thread, tie it right up top, and kind of gradually shift it side to side. And there we go. And we'll trim those right at the ends. Sweet, looks good. Now let's get started on the deer hair head. See if I can push that back a little bit. Perfect. Heck yeah. So for the deer hair, what I'm using is some white dyed deer belly. Just going to get a chunk of that. For the collars on these flies, I like these collars to be thick, all about the water push, all about the movement, and for that it's really nice to have a really good thick collar. So just going to throw that in our hair stacker, get those tips aligned. I got all those tips aligned. Pull out any stragglers that we see. And there we go. So I want that collar to be going to about the back of the front hook. So it's about right there. Just one wrap, gradually tighten it down. Sweet. I like that. Perfect. And then we're just going to fill in that bottom. For this you don't need as big a chunk. And then I actually also like to come in here. I like to cut off the tips of those deer hair fibers. The reason I do that is so it doesn't get confused with the actual collar. That way, I'm not trimming parts of the collar, thinking it's, parts of this, and vice versa. So, I'm just going to place that on the very very bottom of the hook. Here, I'll flip it upside down so y'all can see it better. Put that on the bottom of the hook, and just same thing. Kind of loose wrap and gradually tighten. There you go. So now, just going to push that back. And I really like to pack it on there, you know. The tighter you can pack it, the better. I'm just going to push those fibers back and move that thread to right in front of that. And then same thing. So once again, this time, grab a slightly larger chunk. This time we're going to be taking more of more of a spinning approach to it. And again, cut off those tips. One pin trap. Spin it on. Pretty easy. Except right here is where I like to press down that. And then I'll actually grab some pink deer hair, well, some bucktail. And I'm going to come down here at the very bottom, and I'm going to take some of those, super thick pink fibers, just the butts of them. That's all you want. And we're going to put a little pink hot spot on that head. There's something to give it a little extra oomph on that head. So probably, a little too much. We're going to take about half that. Again, cut off those tips. We're just going to press down everything right up top. Kind of flatten out a spot for this. I'm going to place that right on there and tie it down. Three nice tight wraps. Push everything back. Keep trying to make room to pack another stack right in front. So now we're going back to the white deer belly. You guys know what I totally forgot? Mallard flank. Definitely forgot to throw that right on the back of those. That's alright. It'll fish just fine. So, usually I like to throw some mallard flank in the original drunken disorderly pattern. It's got mallard flank going over top of the rabbit zonker. So, that's alright. It'll still fish. But there's always something, right? But so just another piece of white deer belly, tips clipped off, come right up front, do another pin trap, and spin it around. Maybe I missed it, but what weight fly rod to use? So, like I said, I'm throwing this on a 7-weight. And with these bull trout, for the most part, we're fishing some super small creeks. So you don't really have to do any super far casts. Honestly, we're more just kind of lobbing it in there, just to, get it in those holes. And I haven't found much need for more than a 7-weight. An 8-weight would definitely be handy. You could, if you're doing, fishing some larger water, I would probably go with an 8-weight just to get a bit more distance out of those casts. But a 7-weight and a good fly line, and I haven't had a problem. That fishes really well. So, now I'm just going to come up front and whip finish. Try not to trap too many fibers. What river do you fish? So I'm fishing the Salmon River. you know, for the bull trout, Salmon River, tributaries of it, and so. But I've also fished, you know, variations of this fly on the South Fork of the Snake River, on the Henry's Fork, and it's phenomenal. Um, you know, especially if those fish are sitting more shallow, it crushes them. It's lights out. So now what I'm gonna get is I'm just gonna pull out a fresh razor blade. Get out of the package. There we go. And razor blades make it 8,000 times easier to trim these flies. So, when you trim these flies, you really only have to make 4 cuts. You know, make 4 cuts and then clean it up. It's pretty easy, just one on top, an angled top cut, slightly angled bottom cut, and then angled side cuts. Just want to make a really nice wedge-shaped head for it. So, how do you know what tributaries to look for in them? All tributaries. You know, there's quite a few bull trout, a lot more than a lot of people think. You know, you still got to be careful with them. There's still not a lot of them, but you know, care for these fish. I'll go through and pinch down these barbs and everything. Keep that fish wet, but there's quite a few bull trout. They are fairly widespread. But what are you catching with it? Bull trout. So hope that answered your question, Jim. But yeah, the best thing I can say is just get out there and try tribs. You know, work for them because they're out there. There's the hard part is finding them. Once you find them, throw a big nasty white streamer in front of them, and they'll eat it. That's why they almost went extinct, because they were just almost too easy to catch. So yeah, but let's get to trimming this head. So on this top cut, it's 26-degree bent hook. So you're going to want to do just a little bit larger angle, just so you get some bulk built up in that head. Push that up. Probably a little too steep. There we go. That's a bit better. So go right up to that collar. And that collar really don't fan out. Alright. And then we do the bottom cut. Same thing. You know, you really just have to capitalize on that wedge-shaped head. Yeah, because that's what really makes this fly move. It just, you know, you just, all you have to do is pull on some line, and that thing's going to cut and really swim. So, how far do you have to hike in to find them? Sometimes I don't have to hike in at all. You know, I know quite a few bull trout places where you can just pull off the side of the road, and you're on some bull trout. You know, if you're obviously wanting to catch like the 30+ inchers, you have to hike in. And honestly, that depends on just how many people are there. So, yeah, just kind of varies. You know, with the tributary you're going for. But I mean, all I can tell you, dude, is just get out there, explore, and you'll find them. You'll eventually get into some. So, I'm close to the Connecticut River. Oh yeah. Yep. Bass in the Connecticut River would definitely hammer a fly like this. So, anyway, with these side cuts, put it at that angle. And I think the wider the head you can get, the better. You know, just make that head pretty aggressive. Yep, pike would definitely hammer it. this would be a really fun fly to throw for pike, especially if you threw this on a floating line, just kept it right under that surface. That'd be a good time. So. Just keep working it down. Best thing I can say with deer hair is just take your time, you know, because messing up a deer hair head is not fun, especially after you put some time into it. Yeah, which I'm sure has happened to all of us. If not, you are superhuman, but keep working that angle back. Just try to get rid of all of those cut ends of deer hair. Pretty happy with how that's looking so far, honestly. I like that. Yeah, just keep working it down. You can see how it kind of, you get that one angle, and it shoots up. Kind of go through there, keep that angle. Another thing that really helps with this fly is a very sharp razor blade. Like, if you can use a new one every time you tie these, that's a plus. Just getting those sharp angles and just continuing them. It isn't super easy with a dull blade or scissors. You know, I've attempted to tie these with scissors. It didn't come out how I wanted it to. You know, it really helps to have a razor blade with that. So you see, if you pull that collar back, you still got some of those cut ends. I need to get rid of. So just go through. Those out. There's a big chunk of them. That looks pretty darn good. Got a nice thick collar on it. Man, I'm bummed I forgot about those mallard flanks, but that was alright. Yep, so now all we have to do is put some eyes on it. So, just Flyman Fishing Co. eyes. I believe these are the 4 or 5 millimeter. They're on the smaller side. Maybe I need to pull out my bigger one. Ah, those will work. Sweet. So when you put these eyes on, who invented the pattern? I'm not sure. I'm not sure who invented the pattern. You know, I know Andreas Anderson had his, I believe he was the one that made the Sid, which is super similar. But I honestly couldn't tell you who did the Drunken Disorderly pattern. Whoever it was, props to them. You know, like I said, it's quickly become one of my favorite streamer patterns to tie and to fish. You know, it's a lot of fun. But so what I'm gonna do is Loctite Gel Control Super Glue. I'm just going to put that on the back of the eye. Hope I still have some. There we go. And we're going to put that eye. I'll show you the placement in a second. There we go. So we want that eye to be right about there. You know, let's see if it'll focus. Maybe. Maybe not. Yeah, iPhones suck. No. But, yep, you kind of just want that right about there. So, usually look for the second line on the right and speak gold. Finish resting on it, if not proceed 100 paces to the north. Exactly, right? Yeah, no, if you're, just get out there. Get back into those smaller tributaries. You know, leave them alone when they're on their spawning bed. But as they're moving up, they are a lot of fun to fish for. Yeah, let's get a second eye on that side. Super glue on it. Glue that to my finger. Put that on the same spot. Really pinch it down. Oh, that one decided to stick to my finger. There we go. Perfect. Sweet. And then to finish this fly off, I'm actually going to see if I can pull this one off. Oh, there we go. Didn't like how that one was. But no, those bulls, they're mean with it. Yeah. They like eating streamers, that is for sure. So, just do some final trimming. Yeah, I'll have to do some research, figure out who invented this pattern, because I'm honestly not sure. But as a final step, what we're going to do is just take some UV clear fly finish in the thin. And we are just going to go throughout and just get a good coat on this. Really, you know, just make that deer hair durable, because one fish will mess this fly up. You know, if they hit that front hook, it can get messy real quick. So I like to just, you know, get a healthy coating of UV goo all over it. That really helps that head stay durable for a while. Same thing with the sides. Needles, Tommy wrench. Tommy Lynch who invented the pattern? Well, I think that's right. Yeah, just go through. Try to cover that deer hair. I have a few of these that I tied without doing the UV go on the head, and went out fishing them on the South Fork, and after one fish, like, these things are toast. But their deer hair head was like all spun around, all sorts of funky. So I like to get that UV do and make it a bit more durable. And we're gonna hit it with our light. Man, that pink is fluorescent. I like that. Let's go all the way around. Let that thing cure up. I think that's it. Besides the mallard flank, but yeah, just big mean fly. This thing's probably 4.5, 5 inches long. So like I said, this is usually this is on the smaller side for a bull trout. You can throw 6, 7 inch long flies for those guys and they'll hit it. But I'm pretty happy with how that one came out. So yeah, sweet. I was gonna tie another one olive, but I think I'm gonna do like a dong style fly. Let's do that. Yeah. So, same hook. How big are the trout you're catching? They can be anywhere from 18 to 30 inches. So I've yet to catch a 30-inch bull, but they're there for sure. But heck, even one of the 18-inch ones will not hesitate to just absolutely hammer that. They're aggressive, and a fish will eat a streamer half its size. So a 12-inch fish will eat a 6-inch streamer in the right conditions. It's got to be a pretty ambitious fish, but it's definitely possible and definitely happens. Like 10 to 13-inch fish will probably be caught on this fly. That's just the way they are. So, but nope, same hook, just TP. Did I say TP 610? Golly. Yes. TP 610, trout predator, in size 1 from Arex. So, thread started. A lot of big browns and rainbows go for them. Absolutely. I have caught, I actually caught I think he was 21-inch brown on the South Fork on one of these in like an olive natural color this spring. So they will absolutely eat it. So anyway, let's start off with 2 white saddle tails. Saddle hackle. There we go. 2 white pieces of schlaufen. Line those up. So the reason I'm throwing the schlaufen on there is to build length, to get this thing as big as I can. tie those in. Sweet. And then I'm going to do a piece of olive marabou on top, a piece of white marabou on the bottom. There you go. Might have tied it in two. No, just an extra stem. We're good. Just gonna tie that all of one right on top. And then a plume of white marabou on the bottom. I like that too. And like, I'm gonna be honest, with 95% of the marabou I get, I probably end up throwing away a third of it, just because the stem is too thick, or you get defects like that, where it all gets welded and kind of molded together, and then you get a bunch of, ugly fibers like that. And I don't like dealing with those, I'd rather get a good looking streamer, and not use those. But this one, where it's got, nice even tips, can't see that there's a stem in there, that's what we're looking for. That is the good marabou. Just going to tie that in the same length as the olive one. So this is a fly that I probably more often fish on the South Fork. It's got a bit more natural colors. Not saying that this color won't work for most of your, average trout fishing, because it definitely will. It has its place. But I find to have more success, using the more natural colored stuff in like those high pressured areas, high pressured fisheries. Now and then I have some, let's use that stuff. Yep. So this is Snake River Fly. It's their Hydro Hackle, and I believe this is in camo color. Stuff is the shit. I like this stuff a lot. It's a bit denser compared to like your Polar Chenille and all that stuff. So it gives a bit more bulk, a bit more body, which I can always appreciate with these flies. Let's just wrap that forward. Still going to do pretty tight wraps. Just give it a good body. Man, that was really blurry. I'm going to have to eventually invest in a better camera, if you guys can actually see what's happening. But going to get that all the way to front. And then what I'll do is take some, another plume olive marabou. Tie that up on top. And then another piece of white to go on the bottom. There we go. Now heck, you could probably throw it as just the back hook like this, and that would catch fish. We're going to add a front hook, and just make a beast fly. You know, something huge. So, that's it on the back hook. Pretty simple bug. You know, like I said, you could probably throw this as is and catch plenty of fish. But we're going to add another hook. So, same hook, same size one. Start our thread. Put up my articulation wire. Found it. Another piece of articulation wire. And I burn through articulation wire like crazy because I like to cut off the sections before I tie it in. It just makes it a lot more convenient, easier to work with. But I know, I do burn through it like crazy, and it would probably be more cost effective if I were to, tie it in as a whole strand. That way to, eliminate waste, but it just, it becomes a pain doing that. Getting all tangled together, and yeah. But now wherever I put my, there they are. Same articulation bead. Pop that open. And need one. There we go. Wrap down that shank of the hook a little bit. Through that articulation bead. Get the back hook, go up through the back. Let that fall down. And then through the articulation bead again. There we go. Pull that back over. And trim it off again. Sweet. And then start, same way. More. Now, when you tie in these marabou feathers, you're trying to build a taper. So it's getting long. larger and bulkier at the head of the fly, slimmer at the back. That'll help with it swimming. You know, you get a bit more natural presentation, doesn't look funky. Because unfortunately you see a lot of streamers that out there, and they almost look like snakes when they're in the water, just because they're super, super thin, and they stay the same, you know, same size throughout the fly. And you know, those will catch fish, right? But it's not super, super appealing. I mean, they don't always swim the best. Having a big head on that fly will help it swim a lot better. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of that one. Once again, it's got a bit thicker of a stem. It's not super wispy stuff. It's pretty thick and stout marabou. Let's see if we can find a better one. That one looks much better. See that stuff? You know, it moves. That's what we're looking for. Now you get that stuff. It's gonna move in the water better. It's gonna look better. Be more effective. Okay. Sweet. No, these are fun flies to fish, you know. I love throwing streamers. You just get aggressive eats. I mean, heck, I even get giddy when I get a follow. You know, there's nothing cooler than watching a big fish just sit there and tail a streamer. It just gets the heart racing. So, same hydro hackle. Actually, before I do anything else, I'm going to get the eyes on it. So, these are just the MFC. I believe these are the extra large dumbbell eyes. Something big, give it a lot of weight. Now this is one of those flies that, you know, I'm going to be throwing if fish are sitting a bit deeper. You just need to get that fly on the bottom. Just do some X-wraps. And go around. Just give it some good tugs. Really cinch it on there. There we go. Sick. Start wrapping our hydro hackle forwards. Stop. I'm going to stop right there. Let's see if the leaves can tighten that up a bit. Move around as much. But same thing. Olive marabou. Top. Some white on the bottom. There we go. What's up, Melissa? There we go. That's a good one. Moves a lot. Super, super light and wispy. That's what you want. Tie that in, trim that off. Alright. And then, on the head of this fly, just do some olive craft fur. You know, the craft fur ganga is hands down one of my favorite flies. You know, it's got a really, really good shape in the water. It moves well, and it just straight up catches fish. So I use that head a lot more than any other style. I have a lot more luck with it. It's also faster, a heck of a lot easier than deer hair. You know, it's easy. It catches fish. So some golden olive craft fur right here. What we do, just take off the trunk. Just get a chunk of craft fur. Then you'll notice that you have all these, you know, like the underfur. So you can pull all that underfur out. Try to keep it all nice and neat in a line. We're going to be using that. That's going to be. There we go. Then with the rest of it, I'm just going to hold it up against that underfur. And I'm going to cut it to about the same length. So just cut that section off. Try to keep it about the same length as the underfur. That's going to help a lot when we put it into our dubbing loop. That should be plenty. And then I'm going to take my patent pending dubbing tool, the wooden dowel and you know, super high-tech eye screw. Just start a dubbing loop right there. And we're just going to load all of this craft fur. And like I said, this is why you're going to want to keep it in a somewhat neat, straight line. Makes it a heck of a lot easier when you're putting it into that dubbing loop. So once it's in that dubbing loop, you know, just go through, just evenly space all that stuff out. Yeah, for sure, will not break. And we're just gonna spin it up. Try not to catch too much of that marabou. You know, it happens, and that's part of the game, but it's a bit better if you don't catch it. Anyway, now that's spun up, got a piece of sticky Velcro and stuck it to a popsicle stick, and you can go through there and just, you know, start picking that out. Once again, be aggressive with it, you know. Get in there and really, really pick it out. The more you pick that out, the cleaner of a fly it's going to be. So, and then we're just going to wrap that forward. Looks like we're actually going to have to do a second one as well. Need new scissors. So the thread I'm using is Simplify Nano Silk, a 6/0. Why don't you use your vise to spin it? So the reason I don't use my vise to spin dubbing loops like that is, I mean, it's a user error, if I can be honest. I have a hard time with controlling it, and so I'll get a lot of it, you know, the marabou tangled up, or I'll have my thread fall off. And I honestly just haven't taken the practice, you know, taken the time to practice and figure that out. But I'll use it all the time for, as like, if you guys watch my previous live, you know, making dubbing brushes. That's what I really use the, you know, spinning that vise for. Just makes it easy. You can, you know, get the dubbing loop stand. I mean, not dubbing loop, dubbing brush stand. Plop that, it's upside down. Plop that right there. In between that and your post. Makes things super easy. So, yeah, I love that function of that vise. Makes it easy to make those dubbing brushes and such for flies. And we're going to get another dubbing loop started. Finish that. It's mean. I like it. Throw that right there. That's another clump of that golden olive craft fur. Just gonna go through the same process, you know. Pull out those guard hairs. Well, not guard hairs, the under fur. Keep it in a nice line, and then trim everything else to length. So measure it about right there. Trim all this hook. And once again, line it all up nice and even. And throw that in the dubbing loop. Same process. Pinch it, give it a spin. There we go. Do that multiple times so it's nice and taut. There we go. Go through and brush and pick it out. Do some X wraps. Stick out the tool around those eyes. And do one around the eye of the hook. Catch that end. Tie that off. Trim that, pull all those fibers back. And do a whip finish on it. And with this, what I'm going to do is go through, brush it out again. Really brush it out. You want all those fibers to be nice and freed up. And we're just going to take our scissors, just going to kind of trim it up. Neaten that up and clean it. Yeah, so on the bottom of his head, I trim it pretty flat. You know, then I like to have all that weight and that mass right up top here, pushing that water. Clean up everything around the eye. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I think that's ready to go catch some fish. Again, nice big fly, wide profile, and good movement. So, yeah, but I mean, I think that's all I got for you guys. You know, thanks for tuning in. I always have a fun time doing these. You know, showing off some big bugs and, you know, having a good time. But no, definitely check out Norvise. They got some really cool. It's a cool system, you know, with the vise and the bob and the post, you know, stuff like the dubbing brush table, you know, all the shank jaws and all that stuff. So it's a really neat system. So definitely check them out. If you haven't gotten one yet, pick one up because it's a fun vise to tie on. So, but no, I'm not sure who's doing next week's, but should be about the same time. So tune in. I'll probably pop in. You might see me in the comments. But have a nice night, everybody.